A reading of the Wisdom of Wolves. Copyright in 2018, I believe. Yeah, 2018. National Geographic. This book is dedicated to the many hundreds of thousands of people like you who join us in believing that wolves have the right to live their lives and to make their unique contribution to the world we all share. Indeed, they do. We got the table of contents. And I thought I would use this Wolfie here for this reading, so it's a pretty good picture. The foreword. Each and every wolf has a story to share. Can we be trusted to listen? In a time when humans are wantonly and brutally exploiting wolves and numerous other non-human animal beings, it is essential that we pay very close attention to what they are saying to us as they try to adapt to a world in which their interests are far too often and universally trumped in the name of humans, quote unquote. It's pretty simple. We rule, other animals have to do what we want them to do, or they suffer the consequences of our narrow and anthropocentric demands that seriously compromise their well-being and their very lives. We are living in a an epoch called the Anthropocene, or the Age of Humanity, quote unquote. In our book, The Animals' Agenda, Freedom, Compassion, and Coexistence in the Human Age, Jessica Pierce and I called the Anthropocene the rage of inhumanity, quote unquote, because of the unprecedented and unrelenting ways in which humans all over the globe are decimating countless animals in their homes. We restrict their freedoms so that even so-called wild animals, quote unquote, are not at all free, are not all that free. The wisdom of wolves clearly shows why we must open our hearts to the plight of other animals. Jim and Jamie Dutcher have spent many years living with wolves, both watching and listening and also documenting their unparalleled experience in both film and prose. The unique opportunity of their being able to share the lives of the sawtooth pack has brought the story of wolves to people all over the world at a time when it's needed most. The intricate and intimate world of these iconic family living North American animals previously hidden from human eyes has given us all the gift of new insights into who they are, how they live, and the depth and richness of their emotional lives. The book you hold reveals a panoply of emotions ranging from unbounded joy to excruciating sadness and grief due to the loss of their companions, including adult family members, their children, and their friends. It is vitally important for us to pay close attention to what wolves and other animals feel when they are able to live together peacefully and when they are subjected to hunting and losses of habitat due to human encroachment and climate change. The world of wolves the Dutchers have carefully detailed creates a framework that is needed to enhance our attempts at the conservation of these magnificent animals. The more we know about their life histories, including patterns of births and deaths, how social bonds and packs are formed and maintained, and how human intrusions influence the lives of wolves, the better we will be able to protect them in a human-dominated world. Researchers and non-researchers alike will greatly benefit from carefully reading this book. If we lose wolves, we lose centuries of information we will need as we confront a changing world that is not especially animal friendly. We, as Earth's dominant species, need to learn as much as we possibly can in as many ways possible to comprehend our intricate interconnections with other animals and with nature as a whole, as unmatched and increasing threats engulf our world. The more we know about wolves, the more we know about ourselves, and the more we can pass on to our children. This is the definition of wisdom, as the title of this very important book aptly highlights. Every wolf, every passing shadow in the forest, every individual watching us as we pass through her or his territory and home. Indeed, all wolves have a story we need to hear and to use on their behalf. Can we be trusted to listen? I sure hope so, because wolves and other animals need all the help they can get, and time is not on their side. The wisdom of wolves will help us rewild our hearts, excuse me, because reconnected with, to, bec- uh, become reconnected to nature and to other animals, and work hard to build pathways of compassion and coexistence. If we don't foster and maintain deep and long lasting respect, compassion, and coexistence, we will lose out as much as the other animals will. When other animals lose, we lose because we suffer the indignities to which we subject individuals of other species. If we work hard for compassionate coexistence, it will be a win-win for all. Mark Bekoff, PhD, Boulder, Colorado, June 2017. Introduction. They've decided that this is the time. The sun has disappeared behind the mountain peak to the west, leaving just a wisp of orange cloud, stealing minutes from the short February day. In the east, a deep blue creeps in, too early yet for stars. Night is falling still, clear and bitterly cold. They don't mind. They're creatures of the cold. They appear in near silence. One emerges from the shadows of the spruce forest, two from the tangle of bare willows. In the clearing, eight now circle one another. Old snow crunches under soft footfalls. There was no audible call to assemble, no visible trigger that sparked this gathering. They've got their reasons. They exchange greetings, touch noses, press shoulder to shoulder, and then move apart. Their movements betray anticipation, something between agitation and joy. In the apparent chaos of the assembly, there is a subtle order. One stands taller and more still than the rest, like the hub in the center of a wheel. He is not the focus of the action, but perhaps its core, fussing less, confident, alert, solid. Each individual makes a point of greeting him first, though their level of deference varies from individual to individual. One approaches in a relaxed, respectful greeting. Another approaches in a bow so deep he's almost crawling. The picture of genuflection. Here in the clearing, personalities are laid bare. These individuals, each with his or her way of being and interacting with the others. There are displays of boldness, timidity, aggression, playfulness, solemnity, and tenderness. All the while they're all the while they've been speaking quietly, sharing something between them in voices resonant with excitement. Suddenly, the leader's voice soars above the chatter. His call rises quickly, then slowly falls in tone, tapering off where it began. For the others, it's the cue to begin. Each singer adds his own voice to the chorus, but sings a song all his own. The sound is both uh, dissonant and harmonious. It fills the valley below, echoes off the mountain walls, and floats back in a doubled loop. With faces turned to the sky, they sing. They are a tribe, a family, a fierce confederacy. They are also an assembly of individual personalities, private desires and goals, and inner lives largely unknown. They are a wolf pack howling. In Alaska and Alberta, in Wyoming and Wisconsin, in Germany, Spain, Russia, and the Middle East, anywhere on Earth where Canis lupus lives, this scene is surely repeated. Sometimes we hear it, rarely do we observe it. But this particular time, it's a bit different. The setting is certainly prime wolf habitat, and the wolves present have gathered for their spirited pack rally for reasons known only to them. However, they are not completely alone. From the darkness of the bordering forest, a pair of human observers crouch at a discreet distance, watching, recording, marveling at the spectacle they've been privileged to witness. Back then, we were known as Dutcher Film Productions, Jim Dutcher on camera and Jamie Dutcher recording sound, documenting events that hadn't occurred here for the past 50 years. We call them the Sawtooth Pack, after the majestic Sawtooth Mountains that rose behind their riparian home on the edge of the Idaho wilderness. For 6 years, they allowed us to share their lives, and we came to know them both as individuals and as integral parts of their pack. We we were passive observers in their lives and honored to have had their trust. The calm center of the Sawtooth Pack was the benevolent alpha male we called Kamots, a Blackfoot word meaning freedom, quote unquote. He was a strong and confident wolf, but was not above playing with his packmates and indulging in boundless curiosity. His mate was a high-strung, dark female we named Chemuk. Apologies for any mispronunciation of the names. On the opposite end of the pack hierarchy was Kamotz's littermate, a big gray male we call Lakota. Despite his size, Lakota was timid and shy. For many years, he was subjected into the unenviable position of Omega, the lowest member of the pack, often enduring aggression from the others. 5 other wolves, 4 males and 1 female, made up the pack's middle ranks, and in 1996, Chemuk gave birth to 3 pups, a total of 11 wolves. The Sawtooth wolves weren't exactly wild, but then again, they couldn't have been. At the time, there were virtually no wild wolves in Idaho or throughout the American West for that matter. We knew, however, that plans were underway to return gray wolves to a portion of their former range, and it seemed the right time to produce a film about these animals. Our goal wasn't to document every aspect of wolf behavior, it was to show the intimate lives and relationships within a pack. In 2 films, Wolf, Return of a Legend, and Wolves at Our Door, the Sawtooth Pack helped reintroduce Americans to wolves, just as their wild cousins were being reintroduced onto American soil. In 1995 and 1996, the United States government captured 66 wolves in Canada and released them into Yellowstone National Park and Idaho's Frank Church River of No Return Wilderness. As the wolves' return into the Rocky Mountain states progressed on schedule, knowledge and understanding about wolves lagged far behind. There had been a few scientific studies, most notably in Alaska's Denali National Park and Preserve and on Ellesmere Island, Ellesmere Island off the coast of Greenland, but public perception was still based on more on centuries-old mythology than on any real observation. To some, wolves were demons to be feared and hated, vermin whose eradication has been justified, even divinely sanctioned, and whose impending return was tantamount to an act of domestic heroism. To others, they were the spiritual embodiment of America's lost connection with nature, a pure and infallible creature, more symbol than substance. Initially, the mythology surrounding wolves is what made them such an attractive subject for our filmmaking. In the early 1990s, wolves were a hot topic, their mythic significance exaggerated by the plans to bring wolves back into the American wilderness. But it didn't take long for us to become captivated by these animals for altogether different reasons. The more we observed, filmed, and recorded their sounds, the less we saw the mythical beasts of our dreams and nightmares. What we found instead was something a lot more familiar. Wolves can be described in many ways, but above all, they are social. They need each other. As hunters, as parents, as keepers of a home territory, wolves succeed as part of a group. They've evolved to live and function within a society. They communicate, cooperate, teach their young, and share the duties of day-to-day life. How could they achieve such social sophistication without developing and maintaining strong interpersonal connections? In 6 years observing and filming the Sawtooth Pack, we have come to see wolves as deeply emotional individuals who care about what happens to themselves, family members, and friends. Like many other animals, they are emotionally intelligent beings. A wolf knows who he is, and he sees his packmates as individuals. He has a concept of how his actions are perceived by others. He is capable of empathy, compassion, apology, and encouragement. As humans, we are empathetic creatures too. So many times watching the Sawtooth Pack, we were struck by the realization that we weren't just sharing the wolves' experiences, we were sharing their feelings. Our joy our joy at the first snow was uh, uh, our joy at the first snow of the season was mirrored in the way they raced about, playing tag and rolling in the fresh powder. When Chimuk gave birth to pups in a den she had dug under a fallen tree, we were over the moon. We couldn't wait to see them and to make sure they were healthy. As we watched the pack gather around the den entrance, pacing and whining about with excitement, we could see they had exactly the same feelings we did. When a, when a mountain lion killed a member of the pack, the change in their behavior was undeniable, and we felt their grief. Our observation Our observations have only been bolstered by the conversations we've had with wolf biologists from Yellowstone to Alaska. As we were beginning to work with the Sawtooth Pack in the 1990s, we had the opportunity to visit and film wolf biologist Dr. Gordon Haber in Denali. At that time, he was conducting the longest continuous study of wolves in the world, begun in 1939 by Adolph Murray. When Gordon Haber died in a plane crash in 2009, we lost a meticulous scientist and an outspoken wolf advocate. Few human beings have logged more hours observing wolves than Gordon. He was a rigorous scientist, as evidenced by notebooks filled with minute-by-minute observations, yet he was not afraid to step beyond pure science and acknowledge that wolves resonate in the human psyche in a way few other animals do. That wolves resonate in the human psyche in a way few other animals do. This deep connection with wolves represented the underpinning of all important scientific work Gordon Haber did. He expressed that awareness himself in his book, Among Wolves. Quote, in many ways, the social organization of wolves is surprisingly similar to what anthropologists have pieced together as the social organization of early man. The well-defined dominance order and the disciplined manner in which duties are assigned and carried out, the presence of different generations of the same family living together, the prolonged dependency of the young, the group effort in raising and training them, the cooperative effort of many individuals in hunting large prey. In these and other respects, wolves, like our own human ancestors, have developed a highly effective means of coping with a wide variety of ecological conditions. Perhaps by more intensively studying, not persecuting, a species so similar in behavior to that of our ancestors, we can learn much more about ourselves. End quote. It is now understood that all domestic dogs are the descendants of wolves, and there is good evidence that domestication likely began more than 15,000 years ago, possibly over 30,000. Yet whenever domestication occurred, our special relationship with wolves certainly began much earlier. Many hypotheses suggest that ancient humans and wolves lived in close proximity and may even have hunted together. Humans and wolves were, and still are, two of the most geographically widespread mammals on Earth. As our ancestors were spreading across the globe, wolves were there. As two of the few animals to live in extended family groups where cooperation is essential, it's not surprising that we became kindred spirits. In the lives of wolves, we see reflections of things we have come to value in ourselves. They care for their pups with a familiar devotion and share our reflexive instinct to care for youngsters, related or not. They hold a place in society for their elders. They push boundaries and explore. They return to visit their families. They care what happens to one another. They miss each other when they're separated, and they grieve when one among them dies. They do all that they do all of this with a clarity of purpose that we often struggle to achieve. One can't observe a wolf pack without seeing a reflection of ourselves, although the reflection is not always unconditionally positive. The life of a wolf can be fiercely complicated. An individual wolf has bonds to its pack, but may also harbor a strong personal drive for breeding and territory. The tug-of-war between society and individual ambition adds a layer of complexity that occasionally plays out in Shakespearean-style narrative. It's one of the things that makes wolves endlessly fascinating and personally compelling. The wolves of the Sawtooth Pack gave us not only the rare opportunity to share their private lives, but also a greater understanding of our own human nature. Their lives and behaviors mirrored our own contradictions and complexities. Social hierarchy tempered by compassion, contention mixed with cooperation, the admirable side by side with the abhorrent. Among all their qualities, there were many we admired, but one stands out more than any other, especially considering all that has befallen them at the hands of man. Wolves can forgive. Wolves can forgive. Rick McIntyre, park ranger, biological technician, author, and friend of ours who has come to know every wolf in Yellowstone since reintroduction, recently quipped in an interview quoted in Carl Sagan's book, quote, Beyond Words, quote, certain wolves I've known, they were better at being a wolf than I have been at being a person, end quote. We can't count the number of times we experienced that sentiment while watching the Sawtooth Pack. It is with this spirit that we write this book. Our intention is not to anthropomorphize wolves or to imbue them with human morals. It is to celebrate their very wolf-like qualities through the lens of our own humanity. As it happens, many of the qualities that make a wolf successful at being a wolf also represent the best in human nature. In this book, we have gathered favorite memories from our years with the Sawtooth Pack, as well as stories of other wolves we have come to know. They are benevolent leaders and faithful lieutenants, fierce mothers, nurturing fathers, and devoted brothers. They are hunters, adventurers, comedians, and caregivers. Wherever there are wolves, there are tales of as inspiring as any human narrative. We owe it to wolves to let them live their stories without persecution, without judgment. We owe it to ourselves to watch and marvel and reflect. Our lives are richer when we listen to what the wolves have to tell us. Note from the editor: chapters in this book are written in either Jim or Jamie's voice, allowing each of them to share personal observations and experiences. You will see the signature of one or the other at the start of each chapter. And I guess we'll end it there for now. I don't want to make this video too long.